Hi guys, this is another video about my load order for Skyrim Special Edition, and I'm going to be talking about the lighting mods I decided to use after the live testing we did the other day. Before I discuss that, I do want to apologise to people who left the stream and I told them that don't worry, I was going to upload the video on demand to my other channel and they're busy waiting for it, wondering why it hasn't appeared. I made a mistake. I ended up missing a big chunk of the footage in the middle of the stream, and so the only way I'm going to be able to get this up to the channel is to download the entire stream, and it's a 6-hour stream from Twitch. Find the bits that I'm missing and cut those out and add them to the footage I've already got. Now that footage will be fairly low quality because it was from Twitch, and it will then be re-encoded yet again, so I'm not sure how that's going to look. I will actually leave a link down below to the video on demand on Twitch. Now I believe those videos on demand are a little easier to watch now than they used to be, so perhaps that's actually a better alternative, because you'll actually be able to see the chat at the same time. You'll actually be able to see what's going on in the chat and what they are suggesting, so it may make some more sense. But my apologies for not getting that up sooner. I just made a huge mistake. In my defense, it was a 6-hour stream. By the end, I was close to comatose. I was ready to fall on my keyboard, but we were really determined to try everything and try and get a solution, a choice of lighting mods for my Let's Play. The lighting mods we tested were Obsidian Weather, NAT Natural and Atmospheric Tamriel, Northern Saga Weathers and Seasons, Vivid Weathers, and Climates of Tamriel. I believe that was all of them, but we tested them with things like ELFX, Relighting Skyrim, Claralux, Darker Nights, and ELE, which is another lighting mod. So we were sort of mixing and matching various mods over and over, trying to find the best mix, and it just takes a lot longer than, well, it took a lot longer than I was expecting. Mind you, I was really only expecting to test 3 lighting mods with ELFX and maybe Darker Nights. I should have known I'd end up testing far more. All of the mods impressed me in different ways. They all bring something different to the game, but in the end it was Obsidian Weather that won out. I generally felt it presented the game the way I imagined it, and the nights were reasonably dark. Actually, in testing, we didn't get to see the real effect of Obsidian Weather because there was a problem with my load order. It was making the nights look a little dusty, a little brown, a little sepia or sepia. We still not decided how you're supposed to say that. I should have Googled it. But that is not actually the case, and I will discuss that in a second. All of the other weather mods were great, although there were 1 or 2 other problems. Climates of Tamriel's nights just did not seem to darken no matter which setting I chose, and NAT, a mod that a lot of people were wanting me to try, had really weird nights. I mean, they were very strange, and we couldn't figure out what the problem was. We tried a lot of different things. At the end of the stream, when I was pretty much on my last legs, I did hypothesize that maybe it was something to do with the high quality map mod that I was using, and maybe the Clear Skies version of it. And it turned out that was actually the problem. It completely fixed NAT once I removed the Clear Skies option on the Quality World map. And I have to tell you, NAT nights were glorious. They were very dark, but visibility was well, it was good in a different way. It didn't have that sunglasses feel. Some people don't know what we're talking about when we're talking about the sunglasses feel, but it's where you get a mod that darkens the nights by simply darkening everything. And this has the effect of darkening even things like fire pits, torches, and you feel like you're looking through sunglasses. Well, NAT did nothing like that. It darkened areas that had no light, but all of the areas that were near to light were still brightly lit and crystal clear. This also made it a little easier to see the floor, things close by, but harder to see them at a distance. I have have to say, of all the mods I saw at night, NAT probably was the best. It was pretty damned amazing. However, I'm going to stick with Obsidian Weather for now, for the near future, because I actually think I need to test NAT in more circumstances. Because we didn't get it working at night, I didn't really test it in other places, and I do know there are some things, some issues with it. I need to change a few things to get it working well with ELFX, or at least some people say I do, some people say I don't. The mod author says I don't, so I generally trust the mod authors. But the thing is I do need to research it more and test it out more before I dump that in my load order. So I think what I'm going to do is run Obsidian Weathers for now, and then maybe in a while think about switching to NAT, because I was very impressed with it, I have to say. I was also very impressed with enhanced lighting for ENB, especially when mixed with relighting Skyrim. These two mods together seem to do something similar to the ELFX mod. Now, the difference is those two mods together just enhance the vanilla lights and darken dungeons, darken interiors, and make it more realistic, whereas ELFX does that and it adds some more stuff. And honestly, the sort of the lightweight nature of relighting Skyrim and enhanced lighting for ENB does appeal to me. However, we did notice in a few places, especially in dungeons, there were less lights because, you know, it doesn't add the lights that ELFX does, and there were plenty of times where it was really dark. If I was playing for myself, I might actually think about using that instead, but for a Let's Play where visibility is going to be a thing I'm constantly trying to balance, I decided to stick with enhanced lights and FX. It kind of gives the same sort of atmosphere, the darkness, the deep shadows, but it does add a few more lights to the world, to dungeons, and it does make it a little easier on the viewer, I think. However, I was very impressed with those two mods as well. I mean, this is going to be a recurring theme, I think. Being very impressed with a lot of different mods and just having to balance it with personal preference and viewer preference as well. One other problem that was highlighted during this stream is the problem with smoke or fog flickering with light sources. Now, this is actually a problem with the game. It can happen even in the vanilla game, but of course the problem is compounded when you use mods that add more light sources. Inevitably, you are more likely to spot this problem. It's even easier to spot once you start using mods that make the nights darker, because if you get flickering smoke from a brazier, you will see it from a mile away. And I did see one issue outside of Riverwood where two fire pits just kept, the smoke kept blinking on and off. It was very distracting. And it was a case of, do I put up with this or do I remove ELFX because that's the mod that added those particular light sources? Or, as I've ended up doing, installing a mod called Smoke Remover that removes smoke. Now, this mod will actually allow you to remove all smoke if you're having problems with it, but I'm just using a version of it that removes smoke from braziers. It looks like it might also remove smoke from chimneys. I'm not sure. This might make, you know, farmhouse buildings where there's supposed to be a little wisp of smoke coming out the chimney look a little desolate. I haven't really checked too much. However, it does fix the problem of flickering fire pits when you're wandering around, and I have to say I do like those fire pits. With the ELFX, they have these braziers on bridges or the outsides of town, and I think it marks the border of places like Riverwood really nicely. I really love the way it looks and feels, and it gives a little contrast in the dark. It allows you to see the town clearly, and I do like that. So in the end, it was a bit of a trade-off. I'll remove the smoke from them, but keep the lights. We'll just have to see how this goes. This load order is not set in stone. I am willing to remove and change some of these mods as long as there are no issues. I am a little worried with ELFX now that I'm using it. I know it adds new light sources, and I don't quite know what happens if I remove that. I think if I remove that while I'm in a place that's got new light sources, it can cause some issues, but I will look into that if it becomes an issue, if we decide to try some other mods. And I might. I do like to try different mods, but I want to be careful. I don't want to overload this save with problems this early on, so we will just have to see. So there it is. The short version is we're going with Obsidian Weathers. I'm no longer using Darker Nights, although I may add that back in if we feel the nights are not quite dark enough. They are pretty dark with Obsidian Weathers, but they're not too dark. We'll just have to see. And I've added a smoke remover mod to fix a small issue. I am keeping my eyes on all the other mods, and we will just see in future where I go. I know a lot of people are going to be, are you going to add a reshade? Are you going to add an ENB? I might. One step at a time. I like to see and experience these mods for a little while before I then jump to the next thing. Okay, so that's it. Those are the changes. Link down below to the entire video on demand over on Twitch if you want to see a 6-hour stream where I was basically pretty much passing into unconsciousness at the end. No idea why you would need to. Really, I've now covered all the details. Okay, thank you for listening.